Space is cold. That's what they told you. The coldest place you can imagine. Empty, black, freezing. Millions of miles from any star. Wrong. Not a little wrong. Fundamentally wrong. There is no such thing as cold space. There is no such thing as true cold anywhere in this universe. And I mean anywhere. Stop. Let me say that again. You cannot find true cold, not in the deepest void between galaxies, not in the blackest corner of the cosmos, not even inside the most expensive freezer ever built by human hands. Why? Because the entire universe, every single cubic centimeter of it, is sitting in a warm bath. A bath that was poured 13.8 billion years ago. A bath that is still warm, and you are swimming in it right now. Here's the part nobody tells you. Inside your skull, yes, the space between the bones of your own head, there are roughly 400 tiny particles of light, photons, left over from the birth of the universe. They are passing through your brain as you watch this. They are touching your eyes. They are warming your skin by a fraction of a degree. You have been touched by 13 billion-year-old light. You are being touched by it now. Think about that. The oldest light in existence, older than every star, older than every atom in your body, and it's hitting you constantly, everywhere. You cannot block it. You cannot escape it. You cannot turn it off. This light has a temperature, 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. And that temperature is the floor of reality, the universe's own heartbeat, the whisper of the Big Bang, still echoing. So when someone tells you space is cold, they're not just wrong about the number, they're wrong about the idea. Cold is a lie. Cold is a label we made up. What actually exists is heat, different amounts of heat, and the smallest amount, the floor, is the universe itself, gently glowing. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why you can never escape this warmth, why your freezer can never truly freeze, and why the universe is, in the most literal sense, still breathing. Let me show you. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine the coldest thing you've ever touched. An ice cube, a frozen door handle in winter, that metal pole your friend dared you to lick as a kid. You felt cold, right? Wrong. You didn't feel cold. You felt heat leaving your hand. Stop. Think about that. Cold is not a thing that exists. Cold is not a substance. Cold doesn't flow into your hand. There are no cold particles. There is no cold energy. There is only heat and the absence of heat. That's it. That's the whole story. When you touch ice, your warm hand dumps energy into the ice. The ice doesn't push cold into you. Your heat runs out of you. And your brain, your beautiful lying brain, invents a sensation called cold to describe the loss. Here's the trick nobody explains. Temperature is just jiggling. That's it. Atoms wiggling. Molecules bouncing. The faster they jiggle, the hotter something is. The slower they jiggle, the colder. A hot coffee? Wildly jiggling water molecules. A cold beer? Less jiggling. An ice cube? Barely jiggling, just slow vibrations. Absolute zero? Total stillness. No jiggling, nothing moving, frozen in time. Now here's where your intuition breaks. If cold is just less jiggling, then the question becomes, can you stop the jiggling completely? Can you reach absolute zero? Can you make atoms perfectly still? The answer is no, never, not anywhere, not ever. And it's not because we're not clever enough. It's not because our technology isn't good enough. It's because the universe itself will not allow it. The universe is leaking heat into every corner of itself, constantly, quietly, inescapably. Most people think space is empty. It isn't. Space is flooded with the leftover warmth of creation. Every cubic inch, every nook, every crack between the galaxies, there's a glow, a whisper, a heartbeat at 2.7 Kelvin. And that whisper has a name. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background. But forget the textbook name for a second, because what it really is, what it actually is the leftover steam from the explosion that made everything. It's the breath of the Big Bang, and it never stopped exhaling. So here's the question that should be burning in your mind right now. How does an explosion 13.8 billion years ago leave a warm bath that still hasn't gone cold? That's where this gets weird. Picture a bathtub, a big one, filled with steaming hot water, the kind that fogs up the whole bathroom. Now imagine someone fills it, turns off the tap, and just leaves. What happens? The water cools, slowly. Steam rises. Heat leaks into the air. An hour later, lukewarm. A day later, room temperature. A week later, cold. That's a bathtub. Now I want you to imagine something insane. Imagine a bathtub the size of the entire universe. Imagine it was filled, not with water, but with pure, screaming, blinding hot energy. Imagine the tap was turned off 13.8 billion years ago. And imagine it's still cooling. That's where you live. That's the bath you're sitting in, right now. Here's the part that will mess with your head. When the Big Bang happened, it wasn't an explosion in space. It was an explosion of space. Space itself was born. And it was hot, insanely hot. We're talking trillions of degrees, so hot that atoms couldn't form. Light couldn't even travel. It kept bumping into particles like a drunk man in a crowd. The whole universe was a glowing fog. Then it expanded, and as it expanded, like steam spreading out of a kettle, it cooled. Watch what happens next. After about 380,000 years, the fog cleared. The universe got cool enough that light could finally travel. For the first time, photons shot out in every direction. A flash, a scream of light. That flash never stopped. That flash is still happening. That flash is what's in your room right now. Stop. Let me say that again. The light from when the universe first became transparent, when it was a glowing baby, that light has been flying through space ever since, for 13.8 billion years. And as space stretched, that light stretched too. It used to be hot, visible, white-hot fire. Now it's stretched so long, so thin, so cool, it's become microwaves at 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. The same kind of microwaves your oven uses, just impossibly faint, impossibly old, impossibly everywhere. This is the bathwater of creation. And here's why you can't escape it. The bath is everywhere. There is no edge. There is no drain. There is no outside. Wherever you go, you are inside the bath, inside the warmth, inside the leftover breath of the beginning. Think about that for a second. Every time you step outside on a winter night and feel cold, you're wrong. You're not cold. You're less hot than the bath. The bath is still touching you. Now the question is, how did anyone figure this out? That story starts with two guys, an antenna, and pigeon poop. New Jersey, two radio astronomers, Arno Penzias, Robert Wilson. They had access to something incredible, a giant horn-shaped antenna built by Bell Labs, originally meant to bounce radio signals off satellites. They wanted to use it for something else. They wanted to listen to the sky, pick up faint radio signals from the Milky Way. Simple job, point antenna, listen. But there was a problem, a hiss, a constant, low, annoying hiss in the antenna. No matter where they pointed it, up, down, sideways, toward the city, away from the city, morning, night, the hiss would not go away. Here's where it gets ridiculous. They thought maybe it was New York City interference. Nope. They thought maybe it was nuclear bomb tests in the atmosphere. Nope. They thought maybe it was the antenna itself. Then they looked inside. Pigeons. Two pigeons had made a nest inside the giant horn antenna. And they had how do I put this politely, coated the inside with droppings. White dielectric material, Penzias called it later. That's a fancy word for pigeon poop. So they cleaned it. They evicted the pigeons. They scrubbed every surface, pointed the antenna back at the sky. The hiss was still there. Stop. Think about this. These two men were standing in front of one of the most expensive antennas on Earth, listening to a noise they could not explain, that came from every direction at once, with a temperature of about 3 degrees above absolute zero. They had no idea what they were hearing. Meanwhile, and this is the part that makes me laugh, 40 miles away at Princeton University, a team of physicists led by Robert Dicke were building an antenna specifically to look for the leftover radiation from the Big Bang. The theoretical prediction was already there. They knew it should exist. They were racing to find it. A phone call happened. Penzias described the hiss. Dicke hung up the phone and said to his team, and I quote, "Boys, we've been scooped. 2 guys looking for static accidentally heard the echo of creation. They won the Nobel Prize in 1978 for listening to pigeon noise. That hiss, that annoying, unkillable, everywhere at once hiss, was the cosmic microwave background, the fossil light from 380,000 years after the Big Bang, the leftover heat from the birth of everything. And here's what I want you to feel right now. That same hiss is in your TV, your radio, your phone, your body. Let me show you how. Try this right now. Hold your hand out in front of you, palm up. Just look at it. Through that palm, through the skin, through the bone, through the blood, photons from the Big Bang are passing. Every second, billions of them, trillions. You feel nothing, but they are there. This isn't poetry. This is physics. Here's the part that should blow your mind. Remember those old TVs? The ones with antennas? The ones that showed static, that black and white fuzzy snow when there was no signal? About 1% of that static, that fuzzy snow on the screen, was the cosmic microwave background, the literal leftover light from the Big Bang being picked up by your TV antenna. Your grandparents watched the Big Bang on Channel 0 and complained the signal was bad. Stop. Let that sink in. So far we've learned the universe is a cooling bathtub. 2 guys with pigeon poop discovered the bathwater, and that bathwater is everywhere, including in your living room. Now here's where it gets personal. Every square centimeter of your body is being hit by roughly 400 photons of cosmic microwave background radiation per cubic centimeter, constantly, from every direction. They pass through walls, through mountains, through the planet itself. They don't care about your roof. They don't care about your skin. They go right through. The amount of energy is tiny, microscopic. You'd never feel it. But it is real, it is measurable, and it is ancient. Think about someone you love. Think about their face, their eyes. Right now, photons that began their journey 13.8 billion years ago, before stars, before planets, before any atom in their body existed, are landing on their skin, touching them, warming them by a fraction of a billionth of a degree. The Big Bang is kissing them, and you can't stop it. This is the most universal, most democratic, most unstoppable phenomenon in existence. Every human being who has ever lived, every animal, every rock, every grain of sand has been bathed in this ancient light from the moment they came into being. There is no escape. There is no shield. There is no room you can build that keeps it out. Which raises a beautiful question. If the universe is constantly pouring heat into everything, can we ever build something truly cold? Watch this. Your kitchen freezer. It gets to about minus 18 degrees Celsius. Cold enough to freeze ice cream. Cold enough to give you frostbite if you held your hand on the wall. Pathetic. Compared to what's possible, your freezer is a joke. Scientists have built freezers that go way colder. Liquid nitrogen, 77 Kelvin. Liquid helium, 4 Kelvin. Specialized lab equipment, fractions of a degree above absolute zero. The current record? A lab in Germany got down to 38 trillionths of a Kelvin. Almost zero, almost still, almost frozen in time. Almost. Here's the part nobody tells you. That German lab and every fridge, every freezer, every cryogenic chamber ever built has to fight the universe constantly to stay cold. The moment you stop fighting, the bath rushes back in. Why? Because the cosmic microwave background is leaking heat into your fridge every second, through the walls, through the insulation, through the vacuum chambers. Those 13.8 billion-year-old photons go right through. They don't care about your engineering. The universe itself is heating your freezer. Stop. Think about this. To get cold, you don't just need a fridge. You need a fridge inside a fridge inside a fridge, each one shielding the next from cosmic warmth. And even then, you're not blocking the bath. You're just slowing it down. People say absolute zero is impossible to reach, but that's just a label. The reason it's impossible, the deep reason, is that the universe will not stop touching you. It will not stop pouring heat into your experiment. The bath will not drain. The faucet of creation is still dripping. This is why deep space, out beyond Pluto, beyond the Oort cloud, between the galaxies, never goes below 2.7 Kelvin. Not because there's something keeping it warm, but because the universe itself has a baseline temperature, a floor, a heartbeat. Cold has a bottom, and the bottom is not zero. The bottom is the breath of the Big Bang. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If the universe is constantly cooling, but never reaches zero, what happens at the end? What happens when the bath finally goes quiet? That's where the story gets dark. The universe used to be hotter, way hotter. 1 million years after the Big Bang, around 3,000 Kelvin, glowing red, like the inside of a furnace. 1 billion years later, down to about 19 Kelvin, galaxies forming, stars igniting. Today, 2.7 Kelvin, the whisper. 1 trillion years from now, almost nothing, a breath of a breath. The bath is cooling. And it has been cooling, quietly, steadily, irreversibly, since the moment it was poured. Here's the part that will haunt you. You are not separate from this cooling. You are part of it. Stop. Think about that. Every cup of coffee that goes cold on your desk, every warm body that eventually grows still, every star that burns out, every fire that turns to ash, all of it, is the universe cooling toward its end. This has a name. Physicists call it the second law of thermodynamics. But forget the textbook name. What it really is, what it actually says, is this: everything spreads out, everything cools down, and nothing ever runs backwards. You cannot uncool a coffee. You cannot unburn a log. You cannot undie. The arrow of time is the arrow of cooling. Watch what happens next. Right now, the universe is expanding. Galaxies are flying apart. And as space stretches, the cosmic microwave background stretches with it. Those leftover photons, they're getting longer, cooler, fainter by the year. In 100 billion years, the bath will be at 0.1 Kelvin, almost silent. In 1 trillion years, stars will start dying out. The last red dwarfs will sputter. The lights will go off, one by one. In 1 quadrillion years, the last black hole will begin to evaporate, slowly, painfully slowly, a whisper of energy bleeding into empty space. And then, eventually, there will be nothing left to cool, nothing left to burn, nothing left to jiggle. People say the universe will end. That's not quite right. The universe won't end with a bang. It won't end with fire. It won't end with destruction. It will end with stillness. The bath you're sitting in right now, The same bath that has been warm for 13.8 billion years will eventually go completely, perfectly, eternally cold. And there's a name for that final moment. It's called the heat death. Imagine the end of everything. Not fire, not explosion, not collision, just stillness. A universe stretched so thin, so cold, so empty, that nothing happens anywhere ever again. No stars, no planets, no atoms bumping into each other, no light, no heat, no motion. This is the heat death, and it's the most likely ending we've got. Here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. The universe doesn't end in chaos. It ends in perfect order, perfect quiet, perfect equilibrium. Every particle so far from every other particle that they will never interact again. Ever. Stop. Let me say that again. The end of everything is silence, not because something destroyed it, but because nothing has any energy left to do anything. The bath finally goes cold. Now here's the strange beauty of this. Right now, this very moment, is one of the most exciting moments in the history of the universe. There are stars, there are planets, there is life, there is you watching this video on a screen in a body made of atoms forged in stars. This is the warm middle of the bath. 1 trillion years from now, no one will see what you're seeing. There will be no eyes, no screens, no videos, no words, just empty space, slowly drifting towards zero. Think about that for a second. You are alive in the only chapter of the universe's story where anything is happening at all. The fires are still burning. The bath is still warm. The whisper of the Big Bang is still loud enough to hear. People say we're insignificant in the cosmos. That's just a label. The truth is the opposite. You are exquisitely rare. You exist in the narrow window between the explosion and the silence, between the bang and the freeze. You are warm in a universe that is cooling. You are conscious in a universe heading towards stillness. You are here in a moment that will never come again. So what does any of this mean for you, sitting there right now? Let's go there. Put your hand on your chest. Feel the warmth? That warmth is not yours, not really. It's borrowed. Borrowed from the food you ate. Borrowed from the sun that grew that food. Borrowed from the star that exploded to make the atoms in your body. Borrowed, ultimately, from the Big Bang itself. You are a temporary pocket of warmth, a small glowing knot in an enormous cooling bath. Think about that. Here's the part that should change how you see your life. Every time you feel cold, really cold, like winter morning cold, you are not feeling cold. You are feeling your own warmth leaving you. You are feeling yourself give heat back to the universe, slowly, quietly, every second. Your body is, in the most literal sense, a candle, lit by the Big Bang, burning down, returning its warmth to the bath that made it. Stop. I don't say this to depress you. I say it because it's beautiful. You are made of star stuff, yes, but you are also made of the leftover heat of creation. The same photons that are passing through your body right now, they are the same kind of photons that were there at the beginning. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, briefly knotted up into a shape that can ask questions about itself. So when you sit in the dark and feel small, remember, you are warm in a universe that is cooling. You are alive in a chapter that will not last forever. You are conscious at a moment so rare, so improbable, so fleeting, that to waste it on regret, on fear, on tiny grievances is the only true tragedy. The bath is still warm. You are still here. The whisper of the Big Bang is still touching your skin. What you do with that, in the few decades you have inside this warm middle, that's the only question that actually matters. And now, the final reframe. Let me tell you what I think this whole story really means. It's not just about temperature. It's not just about the cosmic microwave background. It's not just about pigeons and antennas and Nobel Prizes. It's about belonging. You were told space is cold, empty, hostile, a void that doesn't care about you. Wrong. Space is warm. Space is full. Space is the leftover breath of the moment everything began. And you, sitting there, breathing, blinking, thinking, are not separate from it. You are inside it, wrapped in it, touched by it, constantly. The universe is not cold and indifferent. The universe is a 13.8 billion-year-old bath, still warm, still glowing, still whispering, and you are floating in it. Stop. Feel that for a second. Every time you feel alone, remember. There are 400 ancient photons inside your skull right now, older than every star, hitting your neurons. You are being touched, always. Every time you feel cold, remember, you are not cold. You are less hot than the bath. The bath is still there. The bath has never left. Every time you feel small, remember, you are alive in the warm middle of the universe's only story. The fires are still burning. You will never get this moment back. No one will. So here's what I want you to do. Go outside tonight. Look up. The blackness above you isn't empty. It's glowing, faintly, ancient, invisible to your eyes, with the same warmth that birthed the cosmos. You are not separate from it. You are it. If this changed how you see the night sky, even a little, hit that like button, subscribe, because we've got more stories like this, more reframes, more ways to feel the universe instead of just learning about it. The bath is warm. You are home. I'll see you in the next one.